Hey, Nerd Herd, Dynasty Nerds, and we're back with our rookie running back class kickoff here. We're going to talk some rookie running backs, Matt.
Some of them are old. Some of them are older.
Yeah, they're all older. Except one.
Except one. Who's not?
Except one.
Who might be the best running back in this class.
Ready, set, hut, hut. Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey.
He's Garret Price.
I was hoping you were going to try for that super long and today.
And he's Jared Wackerly.
It was a lot better than the one in warm-ups.
It was better than the warm-up and, yeah.
That was crap.
Well, I'm always here to disappoint. It's my number one goal. That's what I strive at. That's what I do. That's what I do. And sometimes I just need a good talking to. That's what happens. Jared?
Yeah. What?
Nothing. You when you play it back, you'll understand.
I sometimes that happens when I am like editing the show. I'll like get a joke. I'm like, oh, that's what he meant.
Oh, that's the joke.
That was it.
I'm multitasking over here.
My one buddy used to say, you can put that one in your pocket for later.
So we're back this week with our rookie breakdowns. We'll be back next week. We'll be back every week, except for 2 weeks from now when I'm going on spring break with my family, go snowboarding in Vermont. We're going to take a little break. These boys will have you covered. A little hiatus in our rookie content. But we're kicking off running backs today. So last week was quarterbacks, which was a fun class, interesting class. Some good quality depth there at the quarterback position.
Some of them.
The running backs, so far, I mean, the consensus here, for the last year is this running back class is going to be subpar. That if you need a running back, this was not the class for you. And so far, as I go through, we're halfway through now all the running backs I've watched tape on, I will say you're correct.
I've seen better.
Yeah, it's gonna be a weird one. I even tweeted this out just a little bit ago. 2 guys, national media people, both put out their top 5s. There was 0 crossover between their 2 top 5 lists. Literally 5 completely different players on each list. Now, one of the lists was significantly better than the other, but still,
I saw the list. It was pretty turdy-fergy.
The one was a little rough. But all that being said, there is going to be a lot of differentiation as far as, at least pre-draft anyway, as to where people stand on these guys.
And listen, I think the NFL itself has told us what they think of this draft class coming in. Where in
based on free agency.
Based on free agency.
Yeah.
In years past, where free agent running backs had a hard time finding jobs, they didn't have a hard time finding jobs this year.
Scooped up.
They got scooped up quick.
We'll be talking about that.
I mean, they got paid like $8 million a year, which is crazy, for most running backs. So we are going to cover the NFL free agency. It's a lot to cover. We're going to jump in that tomorrow, Garret and I. That's going to be a Nerd Herd episode for the Nerd Herd and what we think. So, if you want to watch all this film we're talking about, you want to hear the Nerd Herd extra shows that we're doing, you want to get access to the Dynasty GM, to the film room, the Nerd Score, all that, jump on the Nerd Herd. Just jump on. We have a lot of good offers out there. So now I will say something about this running back class, though, is a lot of times we'll get to like a couple of these later running backs, and I'm like, oh, what a waste of time this was. I will say that I don't overly hate any of these running backs we're talking about either today. Like they're all and tomorrow show. Like a lot of them are okay.
They're all okay. Me and Rich had this conversation over the weekend. We were just casually talking, and it was a very casual conversation about these running backs that are just casually okay. And
one running back didn't start off casual. You were pretty angry.
I was angry. And
More angry than the quarterbacks?
I basically just jumped right off of that bandwagon. Jumped on another. Yeah,
wait, what is it? Today's show or tomorrow's show? It's on. It's tomorrow's
It's
show.
gonna be tomorrow's guy.
Yeah. Matt called me. He's like, "Have you watched this guy's tape yet?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "This is unbelievable."
I was only like a game and a half in. I was like, "This guy shouldn't be drafted."
He told me this guy shouldn't be drafted.
Was it the first guy that we're talking about tomorrow?
Yeah. I came around a little bit.
And
agree. I agree with your first take.
And then he starts texting me. He's like, after our conversation, he starts texting me. He's like, it's getting a little better.
Yeah, for sure.
He just did this. Okay, it's a little better. He's still not that great, but it's a little better now. It's a little better. I just want to let you know.
Than what I thought.
It went like a 3-minute tirade about like how bad this running back is, and I was like, I haven't watched this tape yet, but like I was kind of optimistic about watching it. And then I watched his tape. I was like, I don't understand what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So,
a little teaser.
But some guys, we'll talk about who we like, who we don't like, and some of these guys will get day 2 draft capital.
Yeah.
Hopefully, and they'll get a bump. Like who's going to the Chiefs? Who's going to the Cowboys? those guys still need running backs.
Yeah.
Everybody else signed one. But but you get
just those two spots.
I mean, you got to kind of take the somewhat Tajay Spears approach, even though some people think he got murdered by the Tony Pollard signing. I don't think that's the case. I know he doesn't think that's the case. And by he, I'm pointing at Garrett. And
that's me.
That's a you.
You know, like
I'm Mario.
Me,
just because Joe Mixon gets traded to the Texans, like who do the Texans draft? Like are they one of these good running backs? Because guess who's going to be the starter next year? But then at the same time, next year's running back class is really deep at really talented running backs. So at the same time, get the running backs now. But that being said, I know Jared, you have some information you'd like to discuss about running backs as a whole.
Yeah, so just like last week with the quarterbacks, give you guys some hit rate information. So this time around, obviously we're doing running backs, and this is by NFL draft round. So like what round that they're drafted in and what the hit rate is for running backs drafted within that round. So I went back to
last week you kind of did quarterbacks as a top 10 and then as a first round, right?
Right.
But this is all just first round, second round, third round.
So I did both last week, but this time I didn't break it out into like where they were taken in the first round because quarterbacks.
Well, especially with this class, I don't think we need to worry about the first round too much.
Exactly. But it is important to point out.
But it is important. Yeah. And
so
it's good to know in general, yes.
Especially nowadays, a first round running back, it's a big deal. So I mean,
exactly. And you can tell that here by the data. And this goes back to 2014. So I added another year, went back a little further through 2021, and it's by positional finish. It's not by points per game. So where they finished that year. So I went through top 12 hits, top 24 hits, top 36 hits, because a lot of us play in different levels of how many flex spots you have.
I'm a whole different level than you, son.
But top 36 still matters for a lot of people. So
I mean, those guys, even if they finish top 36, there's probably spurts when you're using them as a starter.
They're flex plays. Mm-hmm. So for running backs drafted in the first round, top 12 hits, they produced at a 75% clip. So you can expect 75% of running backs that are taken in the first round to produce at least one top 12 hit for you within their first 3 seasons. For round 2, it goes all the way down to 26%, and round 3 is 28%. So
round 3 was actually slightly better.
Yeah, 2 or 3. Right. It's almost no difference between the second or third round.
Day 2 guys in kind of,
interchangeably.
But it does kind of as you move along into top 24 and top 36, they do kind of space out a little bit. So round 4 through 7, as far as top 12 hits go, it's like very minimal, less than 10%. Though we did see 15% in round 5, which I think is just due to the sample size that we're looking at here. For top 24 hits, round 1 running backs produced at an 83% clip. Round 2 is at 68%. Round 3, they hit at about 52%. Round 4 is 16%. Round 5 is 20%. Round 6 and 7 is 0 pretty much.
So something that I think the narrative, and it's sounding by your data, it sounds like the narrative maybe is slightly inaccurate, that round 4 is the new round 3. Like when we say, oh yeah, he gets 4th round, we look at that as actually decent draft capital. But based on this, it sounds like it really doesn't matter between round 4 and round 7.
Yeah, even round 4 and round 5 are kind of interchangeable. But yeah, there is definitely like round 3, you're hitting at 52% for top 24 hits.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to restate that a hit is if they produced into the top 20, if they had one season that they finished in the top 24 within their first 3 seasons.
Yeah.
That's a hit.
So draft capital does matter. It always matters.
Yeah.
It's a bit, when we see, and that's why when we see guys like Puka Nacua, when they go in the 5th round, you're like, oh, okay. And they're outliers.
If you guys want to see the table in the graph, just check out my Twitter at Jared Wackerly. I posted it on Twitter today. But real quick, the top 36, round 1 was 91%. So we're probably not seeing any round 1 running backs this year. Round 2 is 84% chance to produce a top 36 season. Round 3 is 68%. 4 is 41%. And then there's a huge drop off at round 5 through 7. So
okay, so maybe there is a little truth to the round 4 thing.
Yeah, the round 4, it sounds like
for top 36.
For top 36. So guys that are...
So you're saying there's a chance.
They're going to get some play.
Yeah, so guys that are going to be more flex plays, there's a legitimate chance at round 3 or at round 4, but not as much after that.
Yeah.
Okay, so round 4 is gonna get some play.
Yeah,
might not be the best looking person, but they have good.
So the
personality
narrative is
at
true.
the party, yeah. A couple drinks in, hey, good little play.
Somewhere between a 4 and a 6.
James Robinson, right?
He was undrafted.
Was he undrafted?
For a reason.
Yeah, he was fine until
Dude,
that.
I love when I just get so much slack, and I'm like, this guy's just not good. And they're like, oh, he's a running back 1. I'm like, dude, I'd trade him for anything I can get. And people are like, oh, see? And then he's just bad forever after that.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, you had Philip Lindsay, same type of thing. Had a really nice run for like 2 years as an undrafted guy, and then just kind of fall off. So
there's guys you go back to 15 years ago, like Darius Slayton for the Texans.
Absolutely.
He was running back 1, and
not
never
Darius
seen again.
Slayton. Darius Slayton plays
Steve
for
Slayton.
Steve Slayton.
I knew
son.
I knew what you meant.
Steve Slayton, though, was actually a 3rd-round pick. It was Arian Foster, who was undrafted, that actually supplanted him.
I was just talking about how he was running back 1, never seen him again.
When I was doing this, though, like, I can't believe how good the 2017 running back class was.
Oh,
like
incredible.
Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt, James Conner, Chris Carson, Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones. It's unreal.
Yeah, monster class.
And those dudes are just starting to get old and cycling out now.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that was a great running back.
Was an
I remember
unreal
breaking
class.
it down because I always remember that forever because those it was like early Nerd Herd show, so it was 2017, so we're like 3 years in. I'm like, don't draft Jamal Williams when you could draft Aaron Jones
And it was
out
true.
of UTEP.
Some of these names, though, dude.
Huge hit.
Turk Cohen.
He had a running back one season.
He had a good year.
Yeah,
he had a running back 1 season for Chicago.
He did. Yeah.
Matt really liked
Marlon Mack.
I did. He was quick, man.
Mac had at least an RB2 season. He might have had an RB1
You remember
season.
Matthew Days for the Browns?
Yeah, we picked like the only bad running
He
back
was
in
the
the
last
class.
player there.
I honestly don't remember that guy.
No, me neither.
Great, the Browns picked the only bad running back they had in the whole draft.
That's all right. We had Nick Chubb at one point. Hey, guys, let me tell you about our friends at Sleeper. Guess what? Our app the Mini is live on Sleeper right now. The Dynasty GM.
pretty.
You can use the analyzer. You can use the trade calculator. And my favorite thing is the inbox, right? Where all your trades from all your Sleeper leagues are right there. You can actually push trades through the actual Sleeper app. And right now, we couldn't be more excited to be partners with them. And right now, if you don't know, they are doing DFS. And I know how many people that play Dynasty play DFS as well. And right now, there's not a better place to play DFS than Sleeper. They're offering up to 100 times your entry, the highest payout in the whole DFS market right now. You can track your fantasy players and your Sleeper picks in real time. All you got to do is choose 2 to 8 of your favorite players from pregame, live in-game, or even across different sports. Pick more or less than the predicted stats, and only on Sleeper you can get up to 100 times your payout. You can share with your friends and get rewarded together. Make sure you use that promo code NERD so our friends know that friends sent them their way. And get your deposit match and have a good time. You'll have all your DFS, all of your fantasy leagues, and now even a Dynasty GM in one spot. It is fully operational inside Sleeper right now. And then when you're a Nerd Herd member, you get that full access to that. And remember, you also want to download the Dynasty Nerds app because they're both in there. Check it out. Check our friend Sleeper. Check out the DFS. Use that promo code NERDS.
Get your whole estate.
All
All right, well, let's get
one point, we
started
still
on some of these good
The
running backs.
rookie running back
and some of these
class.
bad running backs that we're going to cover today, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, first up, Jonathon Brooks, Texas running back, 6 foot and 3/8 height wise. He's 216 pounds, 9 1/4 inch hands. He has got 31.5 inch arms. His wingspan is 75 7/8 inches, and that's it because torn ACL.
Didn't get to run.
In November, we didn't get any of the athletic measurables.
Yeah, it's a shame this guy tore his Jonathon Brooks.
Last year, in 11 games, he had 1,139 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns, 25 receptions, 286 yards receiving, and 1 additional touchdown. Sorry, Rich. I slow played that on accident. I didn't mean to leave such a pause.
Totally fine. Jonathon Brooks out of Texas, and it is a shame that he tore his ACL in November. They're saying he's going to be ready. He's saying he's going to be ready here to start out the camp because out of all the running backs tape that I watched so far, the guys we're going to talk about today and tomorrow, like he was my favorite running back that I've seen so far.
Agreed.
There's a guy who's pretty close, but if I had to take one here that I think would have, if he would have stayed healthy, that would sneak into the first round of your rookie draft. It still has a potential to sneak into the first round of your rookie draft. It'd be Jonathon Brooks out of Texas. And I was talking to Jared about that today on the phone earlier this afternoon. We had a meeting about something, and I told him, I was like, you know what comp I really liked? I was like, I like Garrett's comp of Aaron Jones. And then Jared's like, well, I gave him that comp, and then I took that comp from Nick Ercolano.
Yeah.
So,
But he took it from
he took it from Aaron Jones, the current Minnesota Viking running back. So, and I thought it was a really good comp. This is somebody who comes in and he first of all, not a lot of tread on the tires, right? Not a lot of carries.
plenty of tread on the tires.
Plenty of tread on the tires. You always say that backwards, by the way.
I just say a lot of things backwards.
Out of a draft class that consists of a lot of older guys, he's nice and young. I forgot to mention the fact that he's only 20 years old, and he'll turn 21 in July.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
So he's only got 238 total carries in college. I really like that he's an all-around running back, right? He can run between the tackles. He's really good at getting dump off passes, can run some routes, catches the ball really well. He was top 10 in yards after contact, according to Pro Football Focus. And everything he does is just really nice. I mean, he's got good vision. He can see the field very well, cuts nice. His hands are really good. He could pick up and get some good bursts going there at the same time. He sees his lanes well. Gets the outside, can work inside. Really nice running back. Didn't see a lot I didn't love. He wasn't overly dynamic.
He's not a real physical guy, right?
Not very powerful.
That was probably the biggest knock that I had on him, because I agree with you, Rich. He's the top guy that from these next 2 days that we're going to talk about. He's my top guy, and he could very well end up being my top guy. He ended up with a 74.83 grade for me, which is, a very solid score. Basically, once they hit in our nerd score model, once they hit over that 72, there's a really good chance that they're going to be a solid running back. Over a 74, almost all of those guys are legit NFL running backs. So getting over that 74 mark is a really good sign. But that was the biggest thing that Matt said that I noticed was he wasn't as physical as I think he could be for a guy that a little bit taller, got decent build to him.
216, yeah.
I would like to see a little more of that, and we'll see if that's coached a little bit more. But that's one of those things where usually guys either kind of have that naturally or they don't.
Yes. Typically,
you don't see guys getting more physical in the NFL.
I agree with that, and he's very laterally explosive. I think he's dynamic in that kind of aspect of his game. It does sometimes, I feel like he relies on that a little bit too much, and it can lead to a little bit of dancing, where I think if he had that physical aspect of the game, it would be more of a one cut and just get in there and kind of try to make a hole. You see none of that. So that's a little bit the knock that I could find on the guy. That was my knock on him. So yeah, and I feel like maybe playing through contact. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the times finishing. That's where I think he needs to take a step at the next.
It's my number one lack on him as well. Like he doesn't finish strong.
Totally
That's what I wrote is my biggest knock. But I loved how he was able to, he had the speed to get to the outside, and then I liked the way his vision was on the outside where he hit the lanes, and his fluidity was really nice.
Totally.
And I also liked how even then when you take him and you put him between the tackles, how fluid he was, how loose his hips were in between those tight spaces where he was able to move around inside the pocket. So all around, I didn't see somebody that was somebody like Breece Hall, who's just explosive through those lanes like that. But somebody who would be a poor man, like Aaron Jones, that kind of version. I know Aaron Jones isn't a poor man's Breece Hall. You can say he was a poor man. Or
but he
Aaron
was
Jones.
a 5th round draft pick coming into that NFL for a reason.
Yeah,
and he got better,
and he could turn into something along those lines. And that's the thing with his youth and everything as well.
Sure,
I can envision Jonathon Brooks out of Texas being a better NFL running back than we even saw in college. I think there's a lot of ripening of that fruit to come.
What? Sorry, I was about to ask a question about ripening. It just got me.
Ripening.
How fast do you think that guy is? I know we're not going to get a time on him ever at this point.
4.5.
That's what I
had a 4.45 is kind of what I thought.
Okay,
so
that's what I thought as well. I feel like this guy would be an easy slam dunk, super dynamic guy if he was a 4.35, 4.3, 4.35 guy.
Trey Benson.
With his skill set, I think he would be amazing, and we'd be talking him as a first round draft pick in the NFL possibly. You know what I mean? But he just doesn't quite have that next gear, I think, to get him there.
The way he runs too, it's almost hard to tell how fast he is.
That's why I asked.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you guys.
But he like constantly beats the angles.
He does.
The defenders.
That's why he could be fat. That's what I say. You mean 4.5 is maybe not even fair. Because like somebody looks like he's running 4.5, he's probably more like you said a 4.45 guy. Because he does get the outside really well, and then he could beat that and take it to the like he can get good yardage there.
I think so it's interesting. I always struggle with this because we have vision as one of our scores, and I think he has solid vision. I don't think it's like incredible. I think he has solid vision, but where I really like his vision is in the second level.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has a really good feel for the leverage of defenders and the angles that they're taking. Like he seems to,
once it's turned into a punt return out there in the wide openness,
yes,
he can work those.
He has a very good feel for that open field, and some guys don't have that. Some guys really good at the first level, but not good at the second level.
I think he's good. He sees the lanes and he manipulates the lanes as well, which is nice.
There were I do want to note the fact that I did see him kind of go off script or maybe kind of where the play wasn't going a couple times, and it was with bad results. You know what I mean? Like a couple times, I wanted to at least mention that. So I think overall he does have good vision, and I even put that. I was like, I think he's got overall, but every once in a while, inexplicably. However you say that word, he'll go off kind of script and kind of go cut against the grain, and it usually doesn't work out well for him.
Totally agree, and that's why he only got a 7, which is above average. 6 is average. He got a 7 on vision for me because I do think it's above average, but I agree that there's some times where he goes a little off script, and some guys are such freak athletes they can get away with some of those things. I don't think he's quite that good of an athlete to get away with some of those kinds of things, especially at the next level.
I agree.
Jared?
I think he runs extremely well when they run like a zone scheme. Like he really does a nice job of picking and choosing which lane to hit, and he hits it now and gets north and south. And then he does have like his like elusiveness isn't like jump cutting; it's more of like angling his body differently and shaking off like a
arm tackle or arm
tackle. And then one thing we haven't mentioned yet is I thought he was a really good pass catcher too. Like his hands were extremely natural, hands catcher, able to catch and run and make a guy miss right after and string some moves together. So I'm with you guys. The number one con I had for him as far as our nerd score goes was his physicality and ability to break tackles. I was a little higher than Garrett on the vision. I had him down as an 8, but Garrett's overall score was a little higher on mine. But I was telling Garrett on the way here, like Brooks was the first guy I did. And now that how everything's kind of shaken out, like I hate when like one of the best guys was the first guy I did.
Yeah.
I kind of need.
I always start in the middle.
Up.
I do always start.
Yeah.
I liked your 8 though. I would give him an 8 on vision compared to his 7.
Yeah.
Last thing that I'll say is I have slightly below average for pass protection.
Pass protection.
I think he needs some work on pass protection.
But he's so young, and that's the thing with Jonathon Brooks as well. Is like he's so young, and there's so much for him to grow. That whatever NFL offense he goes to, if it has some good stability, they could really mold him in to fit that scheme, and he could really truly be a 3-down back. So, like, if you are desperate for a running back, like in the back of the first round, now you might have to be a little patient because come out the ACL tear, he is real young, so he might be able to rebound quicker than others. You might not see what you really got there till 2025,
probably,
but he might be worth, depending on how this plays out, a late first-round draft pick in your rookie draft.
Because it was November, the ACL.
Yeah.
It's a later one.
At the combine, he said that he will be ready to go by July 1st, that he's ahead of schedule. So,
which makes sense. Being 20, how far those surgeries have come.
Yeah.
If we were coming back from Achilles tears quicker, we have to imagine these ACL tears are.
To be fair, I don't think I've ever met a player that's behind schedule.
I'm behind schedule.
I don't think I've ever met a player.
This isn't going well.
Todd Gurley still hasn't come back from his.
But yes, I do think that there's a good chance he'll be back. And I think it's an interesting draft strategy question too, because if you're a contender, because that's the range he's going to go is in that contender range, that pick 10 to, and maybe at the beginning if it's 201, 202.
He'll go to the Cowboys.
But
Texas.
Oh, sorry, I meant in your rookie drafts.
Oh, okay.
If you're a contender, you're going to have to look at your team honestly and say, am I drafting a player to help me win this year, or do I have enough depth that I'm okay waiting on somebody and not needing this player or this pick?
He might be better served, almost going to the second round.
Somebody that can wait a little longer.
As a second player, like you get a nice wide receiver, and then all of a sudden you get a.
But some teams are so stacked that they are building for the future with their second level.
Sure.
And
they could be.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like when you're that late in your rookie draft, like you're always considering the future because there's nobody outside of a running back for the most part. Like unless you get a freak like outlier or a guy that you didn't see it coming because you're getting a seventh best receiver, the fourth best receiver. You're taking guys that aren't going to help you now for the most part. The running back's the best position to help you win now. And it's why when I'm a contender, like I'm constantly trading my first round picks because I'd rather get 2 years out of a proven player. Like I'd rather have like an Amari Cooper than an Xavier Worthy because I'm a contender. I want to win now. Like I'll worry about the future when it's time to worry about the future and blow it up.
But
and that's how I play Dynasty.
You wouldn't trade a first for Amari Cooper there, though.
No, I wouldn't trade for a first for Amari Cooper either. But if I have 112 and I need a receiver,
like I just wanted you to get chances.
So Josh Jacobs instead of Aaron Brooks.
Yeah,
Jonathan Brooks.
Actually, now we'll take that back potentially. Like if it had the best I could do was Amari Cooper, which now they got Jerry Jeudy, so it might change things a little bit. But like a player of that caliber, right? Like, and I needed a receiver. And I had to give a 112 for that, but I think I'm going to get 2 years of wide receiver 1 or high-end wide receiver 2 production. I don't have a problem doing that because, again, my main focus is winning. Because I know, for the most part, a player like Xavier Worthy, maybe like an Adonai Mitchell, like those guys aren't probably going to help me win now. Like, unless I hit on a Puka, like a Nakua kind of performance, right? Like,
but typically when you draft running backs, you are looking for
the win now.
Immediate production.
Well, yeah, because it's a hashtag 2 to 3 year window. You're only getting 2 to 3 years out of those guys.
That's why he's a little different than some of the other guys.
So Jonathan Brooks out of Texas, very good prospect here. Very happy with him. If I'm getting, Caleb Williams at 1-1 in Superflex, I'm happy with this pick. If I'm getting, I think he's way more likely in a 1 QB rookie draft to go in the first round of your rookie draft than a Superflex league. Where in a Superflex league, he's probably going to go in the top of the second, most likely. He'll probably go in the back end of the first in a 1 QB league. But I feel very comfortable, even in a Superflex league, getting a guy like Caleb Williams here and knowing I can take a reach on a receiver later on. If I'm in a 1 QB league still, if somehow a guy like him is there at 2-1, I'm real ecstatic going Marvin Harrison Jr. and then coming with like a Jonathan Brooks. I feel like I have a really good rookie draft with a lot of high upside to help my team turn that corner from going worst to first.
Right on. So from first to our second player, I'm going to go.
What a transition.
Ray Davis, Kentucky. 5'8" 3/8", 211 pounds. He got 8 7/8 inch hands, 30 1/4 inch arms, wingspan of 72 1/4 inches. He is a bit on the older side. 24 years old. He'll be 25 in November. Ugh, indeed. In the 40-yard dash, he ran a 4.52 with a 1.56 10-yard split. He had a 20-yard shuttle of 4.51, which
not
isn't
great, Bob.
Not a great difference between the 40-yard and the 20-yard shuttle there. The broad jump of 119 inches and a vertical of 35 inches. Last year in 13 games, he
got you too.
Got me too.
He had 199 carries, 1,129 yards rushing, 14 touchdowns, 33 receptions, 323 yards receiving, and an additional 7 touchdowns for a total of 21. Wow.
All right, Ray Davis, formerly.
And
welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast.
You got to tell him about how we had him on?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Formerly known as Raymond Davis. We actually had him on. If you're
after his freshman year.
After his freshman year.
Oh, 1996?
Yes.
So that would have been Temple.
That would have been at Temple.
Yep.
Then he went to Vanderbilt.
Then he went to Vanderbilt.
Then he went to Kentucky. But while he was at Temple, we had him on the Film Nerds show, breaking down some of his tape. So it was kind of cool to have this come full circle.
It's cool we used to do that.
Yeah.
We
need to do that again.
Bring it back.
Yeah.
We might bring it back.
We should.
We should definitely do that.
We say that every year. Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, the labor that is involved with doing those shows.
We weren't doing nearly as much for Dynasty Nerds when we were doing that show.
That's true.
Yeah, it's
that's how we became friends with DJ Dallas.
That's how we became friends with DJ Dallas.
I did not have 3
Very
kids.
presumptuous.
Yeah.
Nor did I have 3 kids.
Yes. We also had Isaiah Coulter on the show and one other guy.
We didn't have Isaiah Coulter on the show?
We did.
No.
Didn't we?
No.
Who was it?
We
had some fringe receiver that.
Oh, the kid you liked out of Cal.
I'm forgetting his name now.
Me too. Oh, well. Don't matter.
I liked him a lot.
Must have been a good one.
Anyway,
it didn't pan out.
Ray Davis out of Kentucky. Yeah, older prospect. Had a really, really awesome early production at Temple. And things just then kind of went sideways.
They petered off.
They did. He didn't produce nearly as much. things were going super well.
He only played 4 and 3 games in his second and third years.
Yeah, so he kind of fell off the face of the earth. Really reemerged, though, this year with Kentucky. Had a really good season, especially when you consider going up against the SEC, some of the best defenses, some of the best defensive players in the country. Had a really solid Senior Bowl overall. Started getting a little bit of hype with that. But if I'm being completely honest, watching his tape, I was a little underwhelmed watching his tape. I do think there's some things that he does really well. I think he has some of the best vision in the class. I think he's a very smart runner of the football overall. But when you have somebody that's already older, you know, when they're 20 years old, 19, 21, like that kind of range, you can expect some of these physical attributes to still improve. At this point, I don't think there's any hope of any of these physical attributes improving much. And if he's already topped out at being, you know, a very smart player, I just don't know that there's any more ceiling for Ray Davis. And that's the problem that I have with him. It's not that he's a bad player. I think he's a very serviceable player, but he doesn't have a lot of speed. He doesn't have a lot of explosiveness. There's no part of his game outside of his vision that I would say is a true difference-making plus. And while that is fine for a backup running back, I don't think he's ever going to see significant carries at the NFL level for an extended period of time.
Mekhi Polk.
Mekhi Polk, that's who it was. I knew it was somebody like that.
Yeah, and him being that old, 24, there's actually going to be a decent amount of running backs we talk about that were
on the older side.
Seniors, not were seniors or fifth-year seniors. So there's a lot of older running backs here, which really kills their value. That being said, I kind of disagree with Garrett here.
Okay.
I actually came away liking Ray Davis's tape. Now, when I say that, I don't think he's like he's a future success, but I think he's a very solid running back.
Like what round? Like
in the NFL draft?
5?
5th
Yeah.
round, right around there. Because I first of all, I think
I don't see how you could give a running back that's this old
any more than a
5th round.
I think they would just view him as a one contract guy anyways, which are most running backs as it is. I mean, I think the NFL is kind of using them like dynasty, right? Like first contract, let's go. That late doesn't matter anyway. So these aren't players who are trying to really retain. If they want to, they could just franchise tag them for the cheap if they wanted to. But for me, I thought he was really good with yards after contact. I thought he broke tackles pretty well.
I think he breaks arm tackles really well. I think he's got just enough shiftiness to kind of cause guys to miss enough that I think he can break that kind of stuff. I don't think he's physical. Though.
Not physical. Yeah.
I didn't want it to be misconstrued.
I don't think he's a powerful runner. Yeah. But I think for being a guy who's 5'8", 211, who's not really overly fast, I thought he moved really well laterally. I thought he was a nice shifty running back. I thought his yards after contact were pretty good. I looked it up. He averaged last year 3.81 yards after contact for a player, like I said, coming after back 1,000-yard season. Had over 1,000 yards at Vanderbilt the year before. But for a guy I knew nothing about, when I got done watching all of his tape, I was like, oh, he's he's like the epitome of like this entire draft class for me, almost, that I saw all these guys like
solid.
Oh, he's solid. Mm-hmm. Like he's a fine running back. Like every running back you can nitpick in this class, but like in the right system at the right time for about a year, maybe 2 years.
Mike Davis.
This could be a viable NFL running back that could be your running back 3 on your roster. If he can come in for a couple games and give you good, production on the right team and the right system, but he in between the tackles, he's okay. He does everything like
he's quick,
okay.
He's quick, not fast. Like even if he gets out and breaks one, he's not going anywhere.
And while I understand what you're saying, Rich, for me, especially at the running back position, like I just can't draft a guy where he'll probably go based on like where can he go from here? Like he could maybe make it to here, but he'll never make it.
But you're saying where's he going to go in the rookie draft? He's going to go in like the 4th round.
In the back of my mind, this is
all right. Maybe we're saying the same thing then, because to me, a 4th round pick is not a very good guy.
Oh, I just think they're going to get pushed down because the receiving class is so deep. Like it's like so the first round definitely in Superflex league. Like I expect this year, like the 4th round will be like where a lot of running backs go. Because I think a lot of people are going to be willing to gamble. And listen, the NFL draft is going to dictate a lot. Like, where do these guys end up getting drafted? Like you said that before. Like, what round do they get drafted in? That's going to help dictate this list. I think Blake Corum will probably get a little bit overdrafted, probably to the Chargers. But I think that's going to help, like, because these guys are, I mean, right now, this list of guys we're going to talk about over the next few days, these, 12 guys we're going to talk about, like, they're all really close to me, like, for the most part. I mean,
some of them aren't.
Some of them aren't. Okay, let's say 8 out of the 12 guys. And,
sure.
And some of them are pretty distinctive, like Jonathan Brooks at top, Jalen Wright at the top up there. So I can still put these in order on tape, but I can easily change and manipulate that order by the NFL draft as well, and where they go and what kind of opportunity they may have here on the pecking order. And Ray Davis falls in the category of me of him going to a place like, say he went to like Arizona, right? And it's like he's competing with DJ Dallas, Michael Carter, and then James Conner. That's a little different, but like, or what if he goes to the Giants, who have a terrible offensive line? If he goes somewhere where there's at least a path, like, I feel comfortable with him enough, even though he's older.
Rosterable.
He's rosterable for me. And at the same time, like, my running back situation is already as fluid as it possibly could be. And most dynasty players have caught up to that whole concept anyways, where they know the running back is the most fluid position on their roster.
Right.
So this kind of player is like, oh, this is nice. Like, I can get him. I know for sure he's on my roster for about 3 years, and then he's gone.
Yep.
3 to 4 years.
And I put him out. He's the epitome of a 2 to 3 year window guy. There's
100%.
no way he's getting into a second contract in the NFL, let alone, anything significant where he's going to be producing on that second contract.
But he can catch the ball too. I mean, he has 3 down capabilities.
He absolutely
he's
does.
a 3 down running back.
He does everything well, nothing great.
He does everything good enough.
Good enough.
Not even well, but good enough.
Echo.
But I like this. I came away pleasantly surprised.
I wrote he does enough things well to make an impact in a short-term situation. If he falls into one, he could be a guy that's an RB2. I feel like that's pretty easy.
And how many times do we do these rookie breakdowns where, like, half the running backs like, yeah, we like this guy's upside, and we're like, dude, this guy has no chance.
He's got a chance, but I agree with what Garrett was saying based on the fact that he's 24, going to be 25 this year, that he doesn't have a lot of untapped potential. And you almost have to, it's hard to watch some of these guys and evaluate some of these guys that are this old because they truly are men playing against boys. So you almost have to look at it through that lens too, where you're like, he can't outrun this guy that's 19 years old who probably hasn't even hit his peak yet. How is he going to do that in the NFL against guys that are the best of the best? So there are some questions with his athleticism. I think he's got great, initial quickness. Mm-hmm. He has next to no speed though. And so that's where I struggle with him a little bit is does he have enough speed to function? We'll see. I don't think he's going to be drafted at anything more than a second, third
and
back.
Ray Davis, let me
he's going to have to earn it from there.
This guy is not in my top 5 of running backs. And like that, he's not, like I said, that's what he said, like, we're on the same page. Like, I expect him to go somewhere around the 4th round of your rookie draft. I'm just saying, like, he's about to kick off what I'm about to say about a lot of these running backs. Like, I liked his tape. I don't think he's special whatsoever. Yeah. But I think he can play in the league, and I think he can be fantasy. Again, we watched this tape for what? Why didn't I like Gluteus Minimus, right? Because I didn't think he could produce fantasy football points. That's it. Ray Davis is somebody who, when after I watched his tape, he could produce fantasy football points. Will he get the opportunity to? Maybe, maybe not. But he's capable.
The way the NFL is nowadays, chances are if he's on a roster and he's the number 2 guy at some point,
he's going to score points at some point.
There's going to be a stretch where he's going to be a useful guy, and that window for him though is very small because he's just not going to be around.
And can he get somehow in position to even be in that window? Can you get a view of him in that window? Because some of these guys we're going to talk about, even like, oh, this guy, if he gets a chance, he can. Some of these guys we're talking about won't even get a chance. But we're just trying to see if they're even worthy to look at the window, right? Like, do I want to throw a pebble for love? I mean, are they rosterable? I think he's rosterable.
You should pack your roster, like the back end of your roster with backup running backs for that chance that they're going to have a startable week, or you can trade him or play him. But just real quick for Ray Davis, for me, just where he graded out in terms of like previous draft classes, I have like he's close to Rico Dowdle, Abram Smith, LaMichael Pirine, Darrington Evans, Xavier Jones. Like those guys all had some time on rosters, just like we're talking about here. So,
a lot of Turdy Fergies.
Fundamental player, echo pretty much the same thing you guys said, so not much to add from me.
Okay.
Attention Dynasty nerds. Want to play Dynasty like a pro? Check out FFPC, where serious Dynasty leagues have thrived since 2010. You can dive into a world of over 1,500 leagues with stakes ranging from $100 all the way up to an elite $5,000 league. FFPC isn't just a game, it's a community. With unique formats like Triflex and year-round trading, it keeps the fantasy spirit alive all year. Here's my favorite thing about FFPC leagues. They stand the test of time. They've never had a single Dynasty league fold thanks to their orphan season. When you join an FFPC league, you can count on it staying around. They've completely revamped their Dynasty for sale pages now on the web and app, making it easier to scout and snag the perfect Dynasty team. Have you ever dreamed of turning a diamond in the rough into a champion? FFPC Orphans offers that exact thrill. Join the ranks of savvy managers at FFPC. Use our code NERDS for $25 off. Visit myffpc.com. Explore the Dynasty landscape. Find your next challenge. The FFPC, where your Dynasty journey begins. Remember, that's code NERDS for your special discount on your next league.
All right, next guy up, George Holani. Boise State running back, 5'10" and 3/8 inches.
Garrett's boy.
208 pounds. You do love those Boise State players. It's something about that blue carpet.
I'll get to
9 3/4 inch
Marge
hands.
Simpson.
29 and 3/4 inch arms. 72 and 3/8 inch wingspan. He is a little bit of an older guy, but not quite as old as Ray Davis. He is 23. He'll be 24 in December.
Old.
So he's old.
What's his date of birth? What'd you have?
12/16/2000.
It's crazy that people in the 2000s are not old for running backs.
Indeed. In the 40-yard dash, he ran a 4.52. He had a 1.57 10-yard split. In the 20-yard shuffle, 4.33, so that's much better than Ray Davis. In the 3-cone, it was 7.32, so not great. Probably should have skipped that one. Broad jump of 127 inches. He benched 24, and he had a 39-inch vertical, so he really did all of the testing, which is always nice to see. In 8 games last year, he had 134 attempts, 748 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns, an additional 17 receptions, 199 yards, and no more touchdowns.
Yeah, this is a player that
It's a guy.
This is a guy. Don't go changing the playbook here on us.
Holani out of Boise State, like you mentioned, he's a little bit older, but this is a guy has some explosiveness to his game a little bit, and a lot of injuries. If you want to watch a really fun game of Holani's, go back and watch his game versus Utah State. That was a really good game. He rushed 15 times, 178 yards, 2 touchdowns. Real fun game. Like if you want to see what his potential is, like that's his potential. He's viable in the passing game, but he really is like a north-south kind of guy. You know, he's got a speed. He's got almost no wiggle whatsoever. What I saw on tape at all. He's not going to go out there and win by strength. He's not going to win by wiggle, but he can catch the ball very well.
Win by wiggle.
Win by wiggle. He's very viable there. He's got some really good burst. He doesn't mess around. Like he hits that, he gets to the line and he goes.
Yep.
Right. And we've seen a lot of those guys like get the ball, go.
And that seems to be a Boise State thing when you look at like the Boise State runners throughout their history of guys that have made it to the league. Like that's their play style typically.
Yeah, I mean, he can break arm tackles. Like he's good there. Like he's good enough to, he's strong enough to like break those arm tackles. He could take the contact there. He gets to the edge really, really well. I really liked his hands. I thought he had good hands, but an older running back, real north south. Like he needs to be in the right system for him to even work. I don't see, for me personally, this is a player where like again, I didn't hate his tape, and I really like that Utah State game, but like. I don't see the dynasty upside here for him. Sure. Like Ray Davis, I did. Like Ray Davis feel rosterable. I don't think he's unrosterable. Like I'll take a shot at him at the end of my draft, like late 5th round, maybe something along those lines. He's draftable. Yeah. But again, he falls like the point of like, okay, I'm just gonna take a running back here that could potentially catch the football and come in and be a starter for a day or so. He offers that kind of upside, but I don't think there's any long-term viability here. I don't think he's a really good dynasty asset from what I've seen. But he's not terrible.
Yeah. And for me, if I didn't get 4 games on a guy, because some of them we had a really hard time finding, and these ones were a little harder on some of these. I didn't give him a score yet. So Holani does not have a score yet for me. However, I've been watching him for years.
That's why I said.
Yeah.
I remember his freshman year, you liked him a lot.
Yeah.
Which was 10 years ago.
Yeah, forever ago. He was one of those guys that was on a lot of my Devy teams. Yeah. He won like the freshman player of the year in the conference, had really huge campaign that first year. So there was a lot to like with Holani.
1,000 yards as a freshman.
1,000 yards as a freshman, which is, pretty tough to do.
It is.
As a true freshman. So there was a lot to like in his game early on. He didn't develop a ton over his time. And I think that was the hardest part is some of these guys, you see the potential and then it grows and then it grows and then it grows. He seems like somebody that really maxed out everything he had, which is awesome. That's how players should be. They should push themselves to the brink, but I don't know that he was physically as blessed as some of the other guys were. And so he pushed it to everything he had, but there just wasn't a ton more to be able to give. And that's kind of how it worked out with Holani. I like Holani basically in the same range as I do Ray Davis. I don't see a ton of difference between the two guys, slightly different play styles, but as far as fantasy upside, I think both could, fall backwards into a role and be relevant for 2 or 3 games. But other than that,
I like one's wiggability more.
I think
wiggability.
Wiggability.
I think Davis gets drafted. Holani, I think he might go undrafted.
I'm not sure either gets drafted before round 6.
I think Davis has a chance. I can see Holani totally going undrafted. He has a lot of injury. He has a lot of injury baggage too. Almost outside his freshman year, didn't finish any year healthy.
So this was a weird one for me because I was watching. I didn't know anything about this guy, and he was hard to find some stuff on. So I had watched, kind of maxed out what I could find in this current year, and then I started going backwards, and I actually thought he looked better as a freshman.
He was really good that
yeah,
year.
I thought I was like, oh man, maybe I'm missing something. Was he injured this?
Our one tape in the film that we had was from 2019, his freshman year, and that's when he had the most receiving yards his freshman year.
I cut that all the way back then. That was me.
I had to dig into the YouTube TV DVR. For
I had to
Boise State games.
I'll have to do that to get a couple more.
Yeah, so I mean, I think he is just like a fast guy looking. Like he's dangerous in the open field because he can just kind of burst through some spots and go. I don't see, there's no power element to his game or anything like that. He's not going to break tackles in between the tackles. He can break a tackle if a defensive back is in his way, he can break an arm tackle.
Yeah, absolutely.
From there. I mean, he's not.
I don't think he's a bad player.
I don't think he's like a useless running back. Good. I just don't know that where he excels and is special. He's got better burst, and get off than a Ray Davis. I think that's pretty. I think since we're comparing those two guys right now, trying to figure out which one's going to go for. That's where I think he is better than Ray Davis, but Ray Davis is infinitely better laterally than he is. It's very
wiggability.
His wiggability is off the charts compared to
his wiggability has more
Holani.
consistibility.
Wow, yes, you're right.
What really popped out to me was Boise's other running back. I don't know if in the games you watched, if you guys were able to watch.
Yeah, he looked good.
Ashton Genty, yeah. Next year, dude, we'll be talking about him.
Was it number 6?
I think number 2.
Number 2.
He's good.
Nailed it.
Number 6 looks good too.
George Holani's best attribute to me was his balance. I thought, there was at times where he just did a really nice job of keeping his feet and keeping it moving. But yeah, he's, like I said, he got a 63 from me. So typically those guys are 7th round picks or completely undrafted.
Yep. Sounds about right.
All right, next up, Rasheen Ali, Marshall, running back, 5'11" 1/4", 206, 5 5/8 inch hands, 31 1/4 inch arms. He is 23, just kind of freshly 23 in February. He didn't do.
He's a young old guy.
He's a young old guy, right? He just turned old. last year, in 12, he didn't do any of the measurable stuff, the combine stuff. So. We don't have numbers there, but in 12 games, he had 212 attempts, 1,135 yards rushing, 15 touchdowns, 28 receptions, 213 yards, and an additional touchdown in the air.
You're for sure done, right?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. I only gave 3 scores above a 70 for today's show and tomorrow's show. He was one of those guys that got above a 70 for me. I really enjoyed what I saw out of Rasheen Ali's tape.
You okay, Rich?
Rich did not like him, apparently.
He's like my least favorite running back.
This is a Cleveland guy.
He's a Cleveland guy.
Yeah.
He was only a 2-star prospect coming out of high school, and rose up real quickly, had a monster, like absolutely monster sophomore season for Marshall, and then literally fell off the face of the earth, like did not play football for a year, cited like there was some certain personal things in his life that he was dealing with, going through. So he kind of got like a rest year in a sense, and then came back this season.
I thought you were just about to say he got arrested.
Not arrested, a rest year.
Take a year off.
He's got a good restability.
Restability is consistability. So
The best ability is restability.
So when watching his tape, one of the things that I loved was his burst. Like watching him take handoffs. He would be once he found a hole, there are guys that, and there are other times that he did this in the open field, but when he found the right hole, he was gone. Like he would find it and he would go. He would make guys miss in the open field. He did a great job catching passes. I thoroughly enjoyed his tape, and there's a lot of. And feel like in this class,
was that against Albany or Georgia Southern?
How about the game against Virginia Tech or NC State?
Where did you find these things?
I feel like we watched two completely different players.
Maybe I'll send you some of the games that I had, but because he put up 176 yards against Virginia Tech, so like one of the biggest schools that Marshall's wanted to play. Yeah. Had a big game against NC State as well, and great pass catcher, made tons of people miss in the open field. He is not as good as this player, and I have a couple comps that I'll say that they remind me stylistically of these players. I don't think they're as good as these players, but stylistically, he reminds me of Spears from last year, where a guy that would make people miss. He had a lot of burst, a lot of juice, maybe not crazy long speed, but in that short area, he really was successful. So I really, really liked Rasheen Ali. He was one of my favorite prospects that I watched from these days. 5
fumbles on the year. Didn't love that.
He tied for second most in FBS in fumbles.
Yeah.
And he fumbled and looked pretty almost out of control on the one that he fumbled. So it brought up concerns with me as well. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rich.
Too many fumbles for my book.
He had 2 years with 5 fumbles.
I don't see the speed that you're talking about whatsoever.
I actually do see the speed in the burst. I
saw the burst, but not the top end speed.
I have questions.
That's what I said. I don't think he had the long speed, but short area quickness, fantastic.
Yeah, I like I really love. Okay, I liked his one cut ability. Like I liked that he's like one cut. I liked the way he was able to move laterally. I did like that. I just didn't like his overall speed. I honestly didn't love his burst too much. I don't think he was very elusive there.
I would have loved to have seen this guy time out in the combine. You know what I mean? Like I would love to see this guy actually athletically what he would time out, because I made fun of it and said, was that against Albany or Georgia Southern? But they generally are playing a lower level of competition than lot of these other guys that we're watching. So that's what makes the combine numbers relevant for me. It's not necessarily all the numbers themselves, right, which is going to be A or B. But when you're watching a guy play against Albany and you're watching another guy play against SEC competition, it's hard sometimes to gauge how fast they actually are running. Yeah. Or are they just running faster than the guys from Albany?
Watch his game against NC State, which I think is in our film room. Okay. Yeah. So the NC State game is in our film room. Virginia Tech is not in our film room, but it's on YouTube. Those were 2 of his biggest games. But even if you watch, like, one of the things that stuck out to me was I thought he looked possibly even better as a sophomore. And so I wonder, and you can even see kind of later in the year, like he got better.
He got hurt during the NC State game. He hurt his ankle.
That's right. He did. And I didn't get a chance to mention that. So I'm glad you brought it up. He got hurt during the season. So you could even see times where, like, there's still even more to be had. Because if you go back and watch his sophomore campaign, like, I think he was even more explosive in that sophomore camp. I think he was plenty explosive this year, but even more explosive there. So I wonder if that time off, it took him a little bit to get going. But I do, and maybe I'm off because it seems like I'm on an island on this one. But I really like Rasheen Ali. I think there's a lot to like in this game.
Do you guys smell that? It smells like a knee injury coming for Rasheen Ali. This is his guy.
This is his guy. Right, this is knee injury waiting to happen. So
you have a 73 on him. I just looked at
I have a 73 on him.
I got a 67 on him.
Yeah. I like his tape quite a bit.
These are one of the guys that we're going to be pretty far apart.
So there's almost no power element to this guy's game, right? And at 5'11", almost 206 pounds, he's a little bit of a to me, he almost profiles as a complimentary back in the NFL.
I would agree with that.
I don't think
probably.
he's going to be a guy that's ever going to take the reins personally, because I just don't think he can operate in the NFL down in, down out between the tackles. I just don't see him as that kind of guy.
And he's not gonna. It's hard to get him in there, even though he catches the ball third down, because he doesn't pass protect very well.
I think there was nothing for me to even watch.
I was watching.
Oh no, I said he needs some work in that area.
Watch the Georgia State game, dude, and he had a crazy catch down the sideline that was like one-handed, and he like pinned it. I don't know. He took it to the house. It was pretty crazy, but yeah, I'm kind of siding, like, obviously, like I said.
Yeah,
before,
I'll be on an island.
Rich and
I have a
Matt,
feeling.
but yeah, go ahead, Matt.
I would
interrupted you.
No, you're good, man. I wouldn't mind watching more of this guy. There wasn't a lot for me that I could track down. I'm not great, I guess, on YouTube. You guys have, I guess, had more success trying
Dude,
to
you
find
gotta
guys.
get the YouTube TV DVR.
Yeah, you can go back and watch some of
How
those.
old is he?
At NCAA.
23.
Yeah, I'll need to watch more tape.
Disrespectful.
I gotta watch a Virginia Tech game. I did not watch that game. You watch a Georgia State game?
Ray Davis.
I love being 44 and be like the 23-year-old's too old. Maybe 24.
Wait, isn't Ray Davis gonna be like 25?
Yes,
Yeah.
he is.
Okay.
I'm not drafting him in the 4th round either. So
What, I mean, Garrett. Where do you think he gets drafted, like round wise in the NFL?
He's a day 3 guy. I think he's a day 3 guy. I could see him being probably 4th or 5th round. And
no way.
okay,
No way. No way.
disagree.
Side bet.
Rich, every time you've ever
Side
done
bet.
like, no way, this is never gonna happen.
Dude.
Like Cam Newton getting cut,
Yep.
Matthew Stafford getting traded. Every time you've ever said no way, it's happened.
And there's no way I'll ever
I
stop
can't
saying
wait.
0% chance he's not getting drafted.
That one's
round
coming
4.
through. That-
We're gonna
that-
be in New York, and like Rasheen Ali's gonna come across one of those picks that's like just the bottom on the ticker.
Not
And
happening.
you're like,
Not happening.
these two
I'm
are gonna
saying
go at it.
later than round 5.
Okay, I'll take over round 5 or better.
Okay.
I'll take it.
What's the bet though? Hold on, let's do this real quick.
You guys have to remember
Something in
I
New York.
I forget
Something-
every single bet I ever make ever. Every bet I make. If you make a bet with me, I am not.
So you're an amazing person to
Hey.
bet with, because if you win, just remind him that you won.
right.
If not, just don't say anything.
Loser
happens
has to
all the time.
do.
Swear to God.
Loser has to do Irish car bomb at the bar
I have no idea what that is, but
Why would that? How? I hope I lose then.
or Jaeger bomb.
What? I haven't done a Jaeger bomb.
Yeah, that's better. I think Deer blood.
I haven't had that in 20 years.
There's a reason, dude.
You know when you drop it, it's Red Bull, right?
What?
Red Bull and Jaeger.
Jaeger. Dude, I just got the chills.
Remember
Stop.
SoCo
Please
and
stop.
Lime?
Garrett, like
Just
I ain't
stop.
doing that anyway.
Just stop.
We'll think of the bet.
We'll think
all
of
right,
it.
all right.
Guys, I got to tell you about my friends at Underdog Fantasy. Right now, they have the pre-NFL Draft 2024 Best Ball is live on Underdog. Draft your favorite rookie sleepers you've discovered in the Dynasty Nerds film room. Play in $3 contests all the way up to $1,000 contests. Draft your team and never worry about setting a lineup. You need to get in on this action ASAP. Sign up at Underdog with the promo code NERDS. And Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100 for new members only. And yes, Dynasty Nerds is still giving new users a free Nerd Herd and Dynasty GM annual bundle membership with your deposit of $10 or more at Underdog by using that promo code NERDS. So you get all our tools, all access to the Nerd Herd by putting a $10 deposit down in there. Your Dynasty Nerds promo code will be sent by email within 48 hours of sign up. New members only. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. In New York, call 1-877-HOPE-NEW YORK. In Tennessee, 1-800-889-9789.
Isaac
Guerendo.
Guerendo. Sorry, I had it a second ago. And then you started talking about Jaeger bomb. Anyway, running back, Louisville, 6 foot, 221 pounds, 9 1/4 inch hands, 30 3/4 inch arms, 74 7/8 inch wingspan. Big time for a running back, right? 23 years old. He'll be 24 in June, end of June. In the 40, 4.33.
Blazing.
How old is he again?
23, going to be 24.
Yeah, he's old.
Senior citizen club.
10-yard 10-yard split was 1.55. He did the 20-yard shuttle in 4.15. So these are impressive numbers.
Dude, combine.
3 cones, 6.94.
Combine was bonkers.
Broad jump, 129 inches. Vertical, 41.5 inches. Woo!
Those are records.
He
Top
crushed
99%.
the
Yeah,
combine.
99%.
Crazy.
Those are crushing numbers.
It doesn't pop out on film though.
I was going to say, it doesn't look at all like it when he's running, but
My first note says his tape does not match his combine
Reminds me
at
of like
all.
Alex Barnes.
all right, hold on. Before we get into it, in 14 games, 132 yards or 132 rushes, 810 yards, 11 touchdowns, 22 receptions, 234 yards, and no additional touchdowns in the air. After you.
Oh, it's me.
It's your turn.
Yeah.
After you, sir.
We didn't know
So
if that was a pause. or what.
Guerendo, I mean, this was we love these kind of running backs come out of there. Wisconsin running back. Went to
Former Wisconsin guy. He's Louisville now. He did 4 years at Wisconsin.
Didn't do much at Wisconsin.
No, he did not.
At all. So he transferred to Louisville.
Behind Braylon Allen.
And again, his combine numbers are elite. Like if these
Hall
combine
of Fame.
numbers are like Jonathan Brooks, like he's a first round pick.
You say leaked?
Whatever. I have a speech impediment.
No,
Elite.
elite. All right. I didn't know what you
Elite.
said. Sorry, I thought you said leaked. Like it was like a.
Somebody told us
Absolutely.
about it.
I mean, would you laugh at people with disabilities too? I mean, come on.
I
What's
truly
wrong
didn't
with
know
you?
what you said, man.
Unbelievable.
Relax. Jesus Christ. I'm just kidding.
I was born this way. There's nothing I can do about it, Jared.
All right, continue your.
So I see a speech
Spiel.
therapist. So for me, Guerendo, like this is somebody, like I said, former Wisconsin running back, transferred to Louisville, has an okay year at Louisville, 810 yards. He had over 60 yards to carry, 11 touchdowns, 22 receptions, 234 yards. He accelerates really well. I thought he's a pretty good blocker.
Okay, hold on that one, because I don't know that he does. Like, I think once he gets going, he's fast.
I thought he did.
Did you? Like, I
Yeah.
feel like he took a step or two. Like, there are guys that are instantly at speed, and I don't think he's one of them. And I think that's maybe why he doesn't look as fast on tape.
I thought he's
I-
another one's
I
it's
think-
hard to see how fast he is, or hard to tell.
I think the reason for that isn't a physical limit. I think it is a processing thing for him, because I don't think he has great vision. And so I think for him, the reason it doesn't seem super bursty is I don't think he's recognizing it as quickly as other guys recognize it.
Could be. There's something there, because he
Yeah.
doesn't get off like you would expect him to.
That's kind of
Did you see Rich's eyes just
Yeah,
go
we were
up?
thinking the
I
same
Both
thing.
eyebrows
I know.
went. Just shot right through.
Try harder.
but so for me, I understand what you're saying, but because I made note of it,
Yeah.
I think it takes him a little bit longer to recognize
Okay.
what the defense is doing or where he needs to be.
I'm open to that as an idea of why, because I can't explain it, because it doesn't make sense with his combine
numbers,
numbers.
you're right.
Don't make sense with what you're seeing. So I'm open for any ideas.
He catches the ball well. And I think not only does his combine numbers not match up with this film, I don't think his size matches up with this film too. I've read other scouting reports on this guy that they liked his physicality. They liked how strong he was. And I
What?
came away, no, that's what I'm saying.
What?
I came away I saw him get too many ankle tackles, right? Too many ankle tackles, not a lot of power
He
whatsoever.
isn't a power runner at
No,
all.
you're not giving him for how big he is on 4th and 1. What game was it? There was a game, I think versus Kentucky.
Stonewalled it.
3rd and 1 to go
God.
blocked.
Kentucky was one of his worst games.
Yeah, and they gave him the ball again on
Yeah.
4th and 1. And there was 4th and 1. He didn't get it. I thought he was first of all, he runs upright.
He runs too high.
He runs way too high.
For sure.
He was, and I think one of the first things I saw was he got ankle tackled. I was talking to Garret about him earlier. I was like, man, like he's a big dude to get ankle tackle like that, you know, like
You know who this dude reminds me of? A Tevin Coleman. He gets out, he's gone. It's just he's not like a real complete running back.
I talked about Abanikanda from last year.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
he's
Izzy
just
Abanikanda.
He just doesn't have
like
he doesn't have the instincts that a running back
combine
needs to
stunner
have.
too,
Yep.
Abakanda.
Yep. They're a lot alike, and I think their careers are going to follow a similar path.
Garret said I was wrong here. I swear I've watched 4 games on this guy. I didn't see him break a single tackle. And Garrett's like, no, he did. I was like,
He broke a couple tackles.
I don't know if he.
And maybe we watched some different games, but
And I was like, oh man, like if you really got arms on him, like he was going down. I was like, look how small that guy was compared to him. Like every game I saw, there was at least one ankle tackle, at least one.
I agree with that.
And he was way too easy to bring down. Stud athlete, great combine numbers. I don't want anything. I don't think he
looks like Tarzan plays like Jane.
So all three of you are out on him.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan.
Yeah, I mean, he's
guy. Fine.
See, he actually scored pretty well. I didn't hate him. I thought he was solid. He had a 70 for me. Like, that's not bad.
Tell me what you love about him.
So I actually thought he played with pretty good pace. I thought he allowed the blocks to develop, and then he was able to explode, like slow to and fast through. I thought he exemplified that. I actually did think he showed a little physicality and power, and it did match up, but it wasn't like he's
Rich, you told him. Tell me what you like about him with Ali. He sucks. Yeah. He's terrible. Why you give Jared that? You didn't give me that.
Well, before you cut me off, I have a chance to cut him off. Where is his power at? Like what good power? Like and listen, because I liked his. I was looking to like him because I saw his combine numbers. Like, ooh,
I texted you guys. I was like, hey, you might need to dig into the YouTube TV.
I don't, Jared, I didn't see any of that power, like, at all. Like, I saw zero power. If I was doing a nerd score, zero, what's the lowest score you can get on power?
1.
Well, he'd get a 2.5
that way, but yeah.
You get 2.5 on power.
Okay.
I wrote he isn't a powerful runner too. He doesn't break any tackles. These are verbatim off here. He just doesn't get yards after contact.
If there's
past true contact, he's not gonna fight through it ever.
Yeah. So I mean, I see it a little differently with him, obviously, but it's not like his 70 is not great. I mean, that's like
it's not great, but it's not terrible.
6, and he will get draft capital just due to his athleticism, which is important.
Yeah. He definitely will.
He'll get drafted round 4, round 5. Yeah, but he might just be a special team.
Does not factor into our tape evaluations at all, like we're discussing now. So,
I do think he could make a really good special teamer.
That
doesn't help us for fantasy.
Kick returner at Louisville.
I think he'd be a great gunner with his size. Like some of those kinds of things he could do well. But
yeah, not quick at all. Doesn't really make people miss. I agree with that. But I thought he just had a really nice feel, and he has some intangibles to him that a lot of guys don't. So. Yeah, I guess I liked him a little more, but I was also a few whiskeys deep that night watching film while my wife was watching Selling Sunset, and I wanted to.
And listen, you're not the first person I've heard say this guy has some power and brings some like thud to his game. You're not the first, and I saw a lot of that, and I don't understand it in the slight. I didn't see any of that.
We might have watched different games.
I was going to say
because we didn't have much of them in the film room.
Yeah, admittedly,
so,
right. There wasn't.
We had to go to YouTube TV to find some.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched USC, Miami, Kentucky, which we both watched, which I agree was a bad game for him, and then Virginia Tech.
So this is a guy
Tech as well
that I would think at Wisconsin, especially in years past, with the giant holes, that he would be a good fit for.
Yeah.
As far as if he was going to produce and be good, Wisconsin would bring that out in him. And we didn't see much there. Obviously, there were some good running backs ahead of him. So I guess I don't know where I was really going with that, other than the fact that he couldn't really get on the field there.
Yeah,
and
which is concerning.
With that speed,
Braylon Allen was there, but
with that speed and those holes, you should be able to pop, I think, in that situation, and you just never did.
Right.
So that is a concern that I have for him as well.
If he didn't have the combine that he had, he'd be off my board.
I get it.
I don't see how he wins in the NFL. Like, I don't see how
he's fast as hell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's got size.
But his size doesn't show up on tape. So
I think it does.
His athleticism is the only thing. Like, his speed's the only thing I see, and that for me, for a running back, that doesn't win in the NFL because they're all fast. Because listen,
I totally agree.
Greg Newsome is taking him down.
It's true. As long as you can get his ankle. Get a shoestring.
He's a good tackler.
Tyler Lockett could take him down.
I disagree.
Gluteus minimus.
He's down there already.
Why are offensive players tackling him?
I can't think of any. I don't study defensive players. I'm trying to think of small guys. I'm just trying to think of small.
I mean, do you like Ray Davis more than him?
Yeah, I do.
So do I.
Yeah. Interesting. I will have Ray Davis ranked higher.
Already.
All right, next guy.
This running back class isn't special, everybody. I'm sorry.
It's really not.
So even when I like a guy, it's not like, ooh.
Right.
So saying I like Ray Davis more kind of goes back to Garrett argues like, oh, you like him? I'm like, well, I'm still probably take him in the 4th round of my rookie draft. Remember, I don't like 3rd round picks in my rookie drafts, let alone 4th round picks. So I'm just saying, we're just breaking on tape of what we have here, right? Like, if I'm in prison and you're serving me dinner, I still got to eat.
It's true.
I'm not
This
writing
is what
home.
we got. This is what we had to eat.
I'm not going to write home and complain about the chef. You're not going to believe what I had. Another bologna sandwich. There's a lot of bologna sandwiches. You know, that's not fair because I like bologna sandwiches. And I'm really weird that way. But like,
I like if it's grilled bologna. I don't like if it.
Dude, a good grilled bologna
Grilled
sandwich
bologna is good. I don't
so
like it like cold.
Dude,
but-
Nashville, Merchants in Nashville, good bologna sandwich. But yeah, there's a lot of bologna sandwiches here. Sorry, Matt.
No, don't apologize. The next guy
A lot
up.
of blue cheese in here. I hate blue cheese. A lot of blue cheese and chocolate. My least favorite things in the world.
Weird combo.
That is a weird combo. Next guy up, Michael Wiley.
Last
Last guy up for this show. Michael Wiley, Arizona running back, 5'10.5", 210 pounds, 9 1/4 inch hands, 30-inch arms, 74 1/8 inch wingspan. I do not know how old he is. So if anyone,
He's a fifth-year senior, so he's old.
I know that, but I just don't know how old.
He qualifies for Medicaid.
He's probably 23. He's
23-ish.
Sure There's fifth-year seniors for sure 23, possibly 24. Could be flirting with 25 in that automobile discount and insurance.
Could be Ray Davison.
Anyway,
Calm down over there, hater.
4.51 in the 40-yard dash. He had a 1.54 10-yard split. He had 4.43 20-yard shuttle, 119-inch broad jump, and a 33.5-inch vertical. Last year at Arizona in 10 games, he had 70 attempts, 311 yards rushing. Yes, you heard that right. 3 touchdowns, 28 receptions, 306 yards receiving, and an additional 5 touchdowns.
So Michael Wiley, fifth-year guy, he got injured partway through his senior year. He played the first 3 games, got injured, and missed 3-4 games in there, and then kind of became a little bit of a timeshare after that. And he's a little bit different than a lot of the other prospects that we've talked about so far. And there's some things I really like about him, and there's some things that I don't like about him.
Please tell me the things you like.
Things that I like, I think he's a very decisive runner.
Okay.
I think he has really good contact balance with a nose for the end zone. Like he can find it.
Touchdowns.
Is his dad former Ohio State?
Former Ohio State Buckeye. Yep.
Running back the 1998 Ohio State Buckeyes.
And if you watch him, every time he's brought down, he punishes whoever brings him down. Like he plays a very, very physical brand of football. And I think he's a fantastic pass catcher. So I think there's a lot of things that could translate to potential goal line work, to potential receiving work, which are some of the most valuable touches in fantasy football. The problem for me with him is he doesn't have the juice. He doesn't have the burst. He doesn't have those things that we typically look for. So that's why he's an odd evaluation, because while he doesn't have some of those things, he does other things very well. So for me, he kind of reminds me of current, not like coming out of college, but current Samaje Perine, a guy that is not going to break long plays, but is a smart physical runner that can catch the ball really well.
I mean, based off the limited stuff I've seen, I mean, I like that comp. I think that does make sense because he does catch the ball super naturally. I think he's really good with the ball in his hands in the open field. I don't know that he
really naturally or super naturally?
Super duper naturally.
like an alien?
Yes.
Is that supernatural?
Supernatural.
Kind of.
No,
it's not natural.
It's alien. Supernatural is like
Casper
the Friendly Ghost, right?
I think it depends on how broad you think that term is. Supernatural is anything that's not natural.
Oh.
Well, I guess aliens would be natural.
Maybe.
If they existed.
Unless they were.
All right.
Anyway,
where was I?
I don't know.
He's supernatural pass catcher.
Supernatural pass catcher. But yeah, I don't think he has the high end speed.
He's not getting drafted.
I have a hard time believing that he'll get drafted.
I think he will.
Do you? I think he's a guy that can make a team.
Another one.
I think
Drafted or
he's
not
on-
drafted?
I got him as undrafted.
Second
too.
bet.
I think he's a guy that can make a team because he could do some stuff on special teams and contribute that way and kind of earn a roster spot. And if he did eventually get on a team, I think he could get a role in the pass catching role. That would be his kind of avenue towards any sort of fantasy relevance. But at the ripe old age of maybe 23, possibly 24,
maybe Ray Davis,
maybe even 25, what kind of opportunity is he really going to have?
Well, the fact that his dad played Ohio State, he falls in that category of like not getting enough of that DNA. Like he's just not like he's
I've never heard of this category.
I'm neither have I. This is a brand new category.
Category of not getting that DNA.
Not enough. Too much RNA. So for me, it's just, I mean,
Not enough TNA.
I just don't think like he's a bad running back. Like, fault to him. I just don't think he's like athletic enough to be a good running back. Is the best way to put it for him. Because like the things that you liked about him, like I'm fine with that. Like he does catch the football well, but like he doesn't, like his vision's not there for me. He runs
his vision.
He runs a little too upright for me, and it's just his overall play speed and athleticism as a whole just really does not work for me. He doesn't change direction too well for me. Like I said, his momentum's just when I look at him, like I don't even see an NFL running back, let alone an opportunity to have a dynasty fantasy football running back for me. So, for me, Michael Wiley, running back out of Arizona, is off my board. Like he's just not in today's NFL age where it's like it's so hard to get on the field. You know, like when you have guys that like we like they're from a guy like you mentioned all the time, like we mentioned earlier, like a guy like DJ Dallas, right? Like. Or on the same team, we'll stick it out because he went to Arizona, like DJ Dallas, or even like a Michael Carter, who we like this tape for, and they came and snap.
Easy, buddy.
I'm not talking about your testicles, Jared. If they can't get on the field,
we can't snip his field. Then
we can't snip.
Then what else can we do?
If he can't snip the field, he can't bear children out there either. So
true,
for
man.
me,
it's true.
Michael Wiley is snipped off my board. And he will not bear fruit onto my dynasty team.
No more DNA is getting passed along.
Right. He's in that category.
Michael, why me?
Yeah, Michael. I told Jared about talking earlier. I was like, "What is that when you do like the syllable thing?" Yeah, like, he's like, "Yeah, we're like syllables." I was like, "So do his last name." He's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Stop." Why did I watch the film? Why? Out of all the running backs I watched. All of them so far, out of all 12 we're going to cover today and tomorrow, he was the one I came away with the least, like, this guy has no chance to, like, be dynasty relevant whatsoever.
I have a guy or two lower.
Okay.
He's a 59 for me, Garrett.
Holy crap.
Look, he's a one-way pleaser. He can't even get to the other side.
Nope.
10 more points, he's a two-way pleaser.
Nope. Yep. It's so selfish.
If you think I need to go watch more tape, I will.
Oh, you don't.
It was just like a lot of the games I watched. It was.
Look, he
didn't get a ton of reps.
Look, he's either going to be a solid NFL player that catches a good amount of passes, or not, because that's the role. So if you think that he's good enough to do that at the NFL level, which I do, I think that there's a role. If you don't think that his receiving work is going to be good enough to make it at the NFL level, then you're not going to like him. So
I think he's a fine receiver.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I think, because he does one thing specifically really, really well, that there are teams that are looking for guys like that, especially guys with his build that could turn into very good pass protectors as well.
He was a good pass protector.
So that's the thing. Like, if you're telling me a guy that he can protect and he's got the build to get even better and he can catch passes, I think that there's a role for him.
I'd rather have Todd
NFL
Gurley.
I feel like we've seen so many running backs that we thought that about, though, that just it never ends up applying.
Yeah.
When they go
Kyron
to the
Williams. Kyron Williams was one of the best pass block. Like, that was what he
had
did
a lot
well.
more going. Like, Kyron Williams was a good prospect.
Depending on who you ask, he was
For
way
us,
down.
for you and I.
For you and I, yeah. But
he was
for
good.
most people, they didn't. These guys didn't like Kyron.
I'd rather have Trey Lance.
Than
I'd rather
Kyron
have
Williams.
I'd rather have turd Russ Wilson.
Than Kyron Williams.
No,
he's talking about
this guy.
Oh.
Michael Wymie.
So that's it. If you enjoy the show, please hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. If you are listening on your podcast form, please leave a rating and review. It really does help the show, help us get on there. So if you could leave a rating and review on iTunes or wherever you listen to the show, we would really appreciate it. If you want to join the Nerd Herd, you heard all those different ways throughout the show how you can join the Nerd Herd and get in and watch the same film that we watch, use all the tools that we use. And it's a great time to get in the Nerd Herd because we have some really good updates coming to the app and to the website very, very soon. We have a big update coming here over the next week or so, and then we have a really big update coming here down the road. I don't know how long it's going to take to build, but we have a whole new launch thing that's going to become that's going to make you remember, Dynasty Nerds. Our goal is always to be a one-stop shop, and we every day take another
step.
Yeah, step about as fast as Michael Wiley's
Made
step.
a big investment the other day. So
We made a big investment yesterday. I signed a big deal.
Yep.
Signed a
So
document.
you're saying we're moving very slow.
I paid for some stuff that we're going to be coming to the website, and I promise this. This is something I can promise.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know when it's going to be on the website and app, but I promise you, this thing that we are going to bring is going to be unbelievably useful for you and so fun to play around with.
I loved watching Jared's face because he's just watching, saying, "Will I cut what he says?"
I know, right?
I know. That's why I see him watching.
Making mental notes at the
notes.
time.
But Jared, can you agree how awesome it's going to be?
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it.
Boom,
Hopefully, can make
shaka, laka.
our website just a one-stop shop.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I really do think the update coming here real soon, the next week or so, is another great website. And listen, I feel like personally, if we never add
Focus on the
anything
Orso.
to Dynasty Nerd and the Nerd Herd here, it's still the best bang for your buck in the business.
Absolutely.
And like we said, every time somebody new joins the Nerd Herd, that money net does not line Garrett's pockets to be an analyst here full time. What it does is give us the opportunity to build better and greater tools for you,
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
listener, and the user itself. You know, like, because we understand, like, even like, hey, Rich's speech impediment is too much for me, and his jokes are horrendous. I can't listen. We'll give you other stuff besides the podcast. I promise.
Yeah.
But if you do like us, leave a rating and review. If you don't, keep it to yourself. We'll be back tomorrow
They won't be here.
with part 2
Hour and 15.
of the Dynasty running back rookie class. Part 2.
Who does Matt
4.
hate?
Adios.